Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you might be joining from. I am HR Funk, and welcome to my firing line. This is the only online firearm show that is completely driven by your participation, your questions, and your comments, because otherwise I'd be sitting here waiting for Chewy to ask questions, and he's not very talkative at this time of the morning. In fact, he's not even mobile at this time of the morning. He's actually pretty much out cold on the floor behind me, and I can't even move my chair. In any case, we got a great show today. I've got Mark and Slav here from BHSringsolutions, and they have got some exciting news about some of the things that they've got going on there. And I am very much looking forward to getting into this discussion and letting them tell you all about them. I will be able to get some of your questions in, hopefully, during the course of the show. And I'll do the same thing that I've done in the past, just flash them up if I don't knock my microphone off the stand. I'll flash them up on the screen and present them to either Mark or Slav because they are the subject matter experts here and they should be able to answer your questions far better than I can. In any case, I'm going to bring Mark in now. And there he is, Mark Allen, joining us from BHSringsolutions. How are you doing this morning, Mark?
Absolutely excellent, sir. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for joining. And I can't wait to get into this. A lot of you already know that I'm a huge fan of BHSringsolutions. Mark and I have known each other for what now? Probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, something like that.
I think I do believe about six years. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had an adventure or two together, and it's been a lot of fun. Mark is one of the most knowledgeable people on the Browning high power that I know, and BHSringsolutions. Basically, I don't think I'm speaking incorrectly here to say, basically, it was founded on maintaining and improving the Browning high power platform. And it's just an exciting company that's based on a great pistol. I know you've branched out to some other things over the years with the Makarov and the CZ75 and some other platforms, but the high power is still the flagship part, I think, of your lineup. So I'm just going to toss this over to you, Mark, and whatever you've got that you want to throw out there today, the stage is all yours.
Well, okay. Slav is. I'm just going to mention he's trying to get back, I think, to us, but I will get started. The high power pistol design was one that we focused on first. So probably the reason that more people associate us with the high power design than some others. We applied the same principles that we learned in optimizing the high power pistol to the 1911 platform, then the CZ75 platform, and the Makarov platform, and we're seeing progressively more of those pistols coming to us, and owners of those pistols coming to us for replacement and optimizing spring systems for all of those models. So and most recently, about 19 months ago, RDIH, which is Leo Hubert's company from Belgium, the 35-year FN designer who also was responsible for the Mark III version of the Browning high power, joined us as our chief weapons and modifications designer, and his company and his products, including the SFS system, our Glock safety, called the Tactical Safety System for Glock pistols. Those became BHSringsolutions product when his company merged into BHSringsolutions, and then just recently.
Mark, if I could interrupt you for just a second, I want to make sure everyone understands who Leon is. I've actually got a series of photographs back behind me here. In terms of firearms design, he is basically in the lineage from John Moses Browning through Dieudonné Sev and Leon. That's the progression, down through the ages, and Leon is still here today, and working with you, which is just tremendous. He's had the benefit of the knowledge that has come down from those great designers of the past. So I mean, it's just phenomenal. And then he has his own designs that have been incorporated into the high power over the years. I believe the double action high power was his design. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, sometimes called the HPDA, sometimes most commonly known as the BDA-9. And then there was a BDA-O version and a compact version of both of those. And that was Leon Hubert. He was also the designer credited with the FN competition model. That's the one with the longer barrel and the counterweight. That included a completely redesigned magazine disconnect, a re-leveraged sear lever. And that was Leon's first gun thing that he did at FN. And then moving on from that, the BDA 380, which like scarcely got changed and became the Beretta 80 series. He is the designer credited with those handguns. And the SFS system and the Browning Mark III high power, specifically the Type 2 sear lever design. That is the mechanical firing pin block. And he was FN's representative at the United States pistol trials in the 1980s as well. So yes, and I believe. Sorry about that. I think I can speak for Slav too. We believe that Leon Hubert is the most knowledgeable individual, either currently breathing air or not breathing air, about the high power pistol design and where it came from and where it has come to. We wouldn't have any idea who would be the more knowledgeable person than he.
And that's just a wealth of knowledge, both what I'll call historical knowledge and, his own innovations that he's developed over time that he brings to the table. So it's just fabulous that he is working with you and, helping to still improve this great handgun that has now been with us for almost 90 years. We're coming up next year. We'll make 90 years of the P35 high power design.
Yes. And you know what? I like to think of us in a kind of a strange way. We all know how famous John Browning is, and I have a theory that the rest that an extended part of that history is he was not always the most popular guy in the room among gun companies. He expected to get paid for what he invented, and so his relationship with FN happened because he couldn't get along with with Winchester or Remington or the guys over here, and so he landed over there. And it just reminds me of a situation that all the gun companies claim to love the man, but they're never going to let that happen again. They're never going to let a designer have that much power and control, and they have behaved like it ever since. And Slav and I, from the very beginning, we everything that Slav and I did from the very beginning, Slav and I had a very common respect level for John Browning, even though we're on opposite sides of the planet. And I would have no idea how many times Slav and I made decisions, and we tried to imagine, and we actually asked ourselves, how do you think John Browning would have done this? And we tried to find answers based on that question. And what we really started learning and figuring out is that if you think that way and then you try to put action to that conclusion, generally you find yourself going in the right direction and being productive and building margin into things, instead of things, just running on a thin edge. And that same thing, even pre-BH, I had recognized in Leon. It just seemed like he is on a different level than a lot of the products that we see today. His standards and his expectations, and quite frankly, having read a few of John Browning's patents, which he personally wrote himself, And he went into great detail about why this and why that, and why you don't let a sear lever contact a sear before it's time. And, real strong guidance, that people still use today if they're smart, in a lot of different design work. And Leon thinks this same way. And I think Slav and I recognized him, while, maybe the whole gun world doesn't think a guy in his 80s is the greatest, thing they ought to have inside their company. Slav and I looked at it, was like, no, this is exactly who we want. and we are so it would be difficult to quantify how incredible it is for a small company like ours to have a lot of the flexibilities that we have, and the ability to say, hey, what if we did this? And we've got a designer who can blueprint it. It broadens the possibilities almost too broad for us.
Yeah, and like I said, just having him available as a resource has got to be tremendous.
Yeah, the biggest hazard for Leon with Mark and Slav is getting bored. He is so far. I mean, he is so far up here, and I am so far down somewhere in terms of skill and knowledge about design. It's just phenomenal.
I think we do our best to keep him occupied, so I don't think he will be bored anytime soon.
That's good, and I would imagine with somebody like him, he enjoys that. I would think staying active and continuing to work with designs for these handguns has got to be something that he would enjoy. If I were in his place, I think I would enjoy it.
He is at this point. John Browning and Willie Nelson. John Browning died the day he died. He was working, and he's just the same. He hasn't mentioned one thing about I'm not going to do this anymore. I mean, the man wakes up every day, and I'm convinced he just thinks all the time about how things work and how things might work better. And this is just, it is who he is.
Yeah, outstanding. And I didn't get a chance to greet Slav when he came in because we were having some technical issues there, but I want to give him a quick shout out. Thanks for joining, Slav. Through the miracle of modern technology, Slav is joining us from Bulgaria. So that's tremendous.
Thanks for having me.
What, 4 o'clock-ish in the afternoon over there or something like that. So really appreciate you joining in the chat as well.
I'm sorry for being late, but unfortunately Windows decided that this is the right moment to update. Yeah.
No problem. I'm just glad you're able to make it. Mark, I think you had some kind of exciting announcements that you wanted to get into this morning. Is it too early in the chat for that, or are you ready to move on to that topic?
No, well, I mean, we've got multiple topics that we can mention. The most recent fun thing that we've been handling is that Browning chose to give BH first dibs on their remaining factory high power parts inventory. They discontinued at the end of 2017 the Browning high power as far as a handgun that they sold, and after about 6 years ish, they decided to go out of the parts and service world of the Browning high power, and they offered their remaining inventory to BHSringsolutions, and this is something we can't thank the Browning Arms Company enough for that, and because we don't think of ourselves as like insiders or something, most companies, when they discontinue something or something becomes obsolete, I mean, they've got sort of an auto send button, for where their obsolete parts go to, live out their life, being sold for a discontinued gun, right? And this is something that, if we could have hoped for something that seemed like it was virtually impossible, 6 years ago, I mean, it would have been to have had the opportunity to inherit those. And as we understand it, that offering was made to us because our volume of orders of high power parts just, from what we understand, exceeded like everybody else combined. So that was the way it happened, and without question, the sincerest, very possibly the most sincerest compliment we've ever gotten on a company to company basis,
which is phenomenal. And at this point, if somebody needs service on a high power or a high power clone, they're really not going to be able to get that through Browning anymore. It really is directing it toward you, and you're going to have not only the know-how, but also the parts to be able to service these firearms and keep them running. So it's just fabulous.
Yes,
tremendous opportunity for you.
There was a twist of fate that happened somewhere in the last 6 years. We did an evaluation on the TISAS BR9 and then on the Springfield SA35, and apparently somewhere in this picture, there was some confidence at the Browning Arms Company gained about us, about our knowledge about the high power pistol. And it may have been, partly because of the successful evaluation and remedies we found for the SA35. It may have been because they found out that Leon Hubert is with Browning. When FN and Browning merged, he told us that he had the opportunity to stay at FN, or he could have gone to Browning, and they left it up to him. So, I would think that he being with us, it has to be a confidence builder. It just has to. When we have found things that need to be better in, like the high power clones, for example. Good night. I mean, Leon's knowledge is just second to none. And I mean, you have this ability. You just know whatever you run into. There is a definite answer, and this guy will find it always. There's no mysteries with this when he's in the room,
And just something I don't think I've asked you before, going back just a step or two in the discussion with regard to the parts, if somebody has something that is not necessarily a Browning high power or an FN high power, if they have an Arcus, or if they have something else that's essentially a clone, do most of those parts transfer over to these other manufacturers as well?
Almost all, without fitting. Okay. Yes. I'll give one caveat to that. With the high power pistol, there's a triad we call the Holy Trinity, that being the hammer, sear, and safety. These three shouldn't be replaced individually. They should, you replace the Holy Trinity with the Holy Trinity all at one time. And aside from that one caveat, which remains true for all high power pistols, virtually every Browning factory high power part is superior in every high power. And I think I can say this, and I don't think there are any exceptions.
And I just had a question come in from SIG77. I know the answer to this, but I'm going to let you address it just in case anybody else has this question. And he's asking if you also got the tooling and machinery from Browning.
Oh, we would be drinking champagne right now if that had happened.
We don't, but probably it will be a possibility if this tooling and machinery was in the US. It's actually never left Browning facilities in Belgium, actually. So there was no option for that.
That's what I suspected. I had a feeling that was, if it still exists at all, it's probably back at FN or Browning in Belgium.
We have been told by, I would call a good reliable source that that much of the tooling for a lot of the P-35 does not any longer exist.
And I somehow or another, I believe I knew that. I don't know if you told me that previously or where I heard that, but I was of the impression that a lot of it no longer existed.
I can't. That gets a bit convoluted. The disposition of the high power pistol, I believe, was cast in 1993 when FN did their deal with Leon Hubert, and he left and started his own company, and many of the things that he had worked on at FN went with him, by agreement, and that seemed to signal the end of new design work and new advancements for metal framed handguns at FN, and the future is mostly played out, to confirm that.
Isn't it ironic?
I think from their perspective, since they made that decision, if you think about what happened with the 1911, say since the mid 90s until now, nobody could have seen that coming, and the high power pistol isn't all that dissimilar, to the 1911 in terms of, the users and the people who would want them. I think they made a fairly kind of cast in stone decision when they made the decision they made in 93, and the getting rid of the tooling is like, so just in case, we don't want to ever have to compete against this thing. So I'm guessing that would be the reason why you go ahead and just get rid of that.
I started to say a moment ago, isn't it ironic how so many of these legacy firearms designs that had faded away are now coming back, either by other manufacturers like the High Power, or, Valter's got the PPK back in production. We're seeing a number of clones of, like the HK MP5, different things like that. And for a couple of decades there, everything was going toward the flat black and plastic universe. And it's sort of rebounding now. I think everybody's just gotten tired of that. We think back about some of these firearms from years ago that had some style, had some personality, that looked good. And so many of the brand new designs that are coming out don't have those qualities, and there's still obviously a demand for that, and affinity for those type of characteristics. So I think it's tremendous.
We did a kind of a comedic newsletter on our newsletter platform, and we explained a condition called PPBS. We call plastic pistol boredom syndrome. And during the pandemic, we had this customer. He wrote to us and he said, I have to tell you this story. I sold off 25 plastic pistols, and I bought 7 high powers and a whole bunch of your stuff, and I'm having the time of my life. And he really was. I mean, he was getting the biggest kick out of, picking out and choosing options and different things for his high powers, and all the things, that he could do with them. And, I mean, I understand, I'm a guy, I like taking my bicycle apart and making it faster and, all that stuff. And it just continues.
And we got another question coming in here. Hold on just a second. And this is from James Sanos, asking if you offer high polish bluing for the high power pistols, and do you have holsters for the high powers?
High polish bluing, no, not currently. We do offer, however, a acid wash color case hardened finish, and this is also done with acid with bluing, which is also what hot bluing is also acid. And this is quite a really kind of a special take off of the color case hardened world. We have a refinish called BH Performance Black. It's often mistaken for hot bluing.
And you have a variety of other finishes, I know, and I'm not sure if it's a Cerakote or what the coating is that's used, but I know that on the website you've got a lot of different photographs of different finishes on the handguns. So I mean there are a lot that are available, and
yes,
if anyone's interested, they can check out the BH Spring Solutions website and take a look at all the various finish options. All right. I know you had something that we were talking about before the show, and I don't know if you want to get into that now or not, or if that was something that was just pre-show. I don't know.
If you want to, I think we have had, I should say, Slav has had something in development for Glock pistols. Several years ago, and Howard, you helped us introduce this actually into the U.S. market, our drop-in manual safety called the Tactical Safety System for Glock pistols. First and only drop-in manual safety into a Glock pistol. And there's been, for a long time, there's been a lot of trigger work, that has been developed and people have done. And a lot of it really, in some ways, in my opinion, kind of marginalizes the pistol a bit. Or removes margin from the equation, basically, in one way or another. And often our manual safety becomes not compatible with those modifications. And Slav has been working on, the last time I was in Bulgaria, I was introduced to this. One of our shop techs has been introduced to this by Slav as well. And on my next trip to Bulgaria, this is going to be continued inoculation into this whole process, and we intend to begin offering it in the BH Custom Shop Service Department here as well. And I call it the most 1911-esque trigger I've ever experienced in a Glock pistol. And Slav has been making this service available in Bulgaria, and has been popularizing it quite nicely in advance of it coming to the U.S. So I think, Slav, are you ready to show off your great work?
Well, I can. Basically, the idea behind the product is that mainly I'm using some changes in the trigger bar and the trigger housing of the Glock pistols. I'm starting always with OEM parts, so just to know that I will have repeatability, probably is the word I'm searching for, and from there I'm changing the geometry in the parts in that manner that we will have a trigger that is staying much further back, and it will have much shorter distance for the first shot, and really short reset. Let me just see. So that's the reset, and that's the entire travel distance of the trigger. Of course, the main reason for doing this is to make the Glock more bearable and more enjoyable to shoot. But a very important thing for me was not to sacrifice any of the safeties that Glock is having. And in this case, all three safeties of the Glock are preserved. I mean, they are actually doing what they're supposed to do. We have firing pin safety that is working, drop safety, I mean, like a horizontal drop safety, and the safety of the trigger is also working. It is stopping the trigger for going backwards if the small lever is not pushed. And we are achieving trigger pulls in the range of from 3 pounds until up to 4.2 pounds, depending on the used striker spring. We are using also our springs for the trigger housing and for the firing pin safety. So this is a whole new product that will be presented to the US market soon after Mark returns from Bulgaria next time. If there is anything else you want to ask, just go ahead and ask, because there are a lot of things that are going on here, and I'm almost certain that I will forget something. And it will remain
Are
a lot.
you considering that more as a competition style trigger, Slav, or more for defensive use?
Well, it can serve both purposes, because if it is paired with different weights of springs, and we go a bit up with the trigger pull, it will be okay for duty and self-defense purposes. And if you go for the lowest power striker spring, it is a pure enjoyment as a sport, for sport shooting and recreational shooting, if I can put that way. We know how, most of us know how Glock trigger works. You know that the reset is depending on the on the way how the trigger housing spring and the striker spring are working together, and even with the lowest power striker spring and with the highest power of the main of the trigger housing spring, we have really nice and crisp reset that is probably hearable. It is actually very enjoyable to have this short reset, this audible reset. And again, we are not sacrificing anything about reliability that we are connecting with Glock in general. And the most beautiful thing, I think, for this upgrade is that it is usable with the TSSG. I mean, you can use the TSSG with the trigger, no problem. If you're using normal sized frame Glocks, I mean, this particular gun is 48. It is the slim sized frame. But for the 17s, 19s, 26s, 45s, it is usable with the TSSG.
Okay. And I've got a high power question coming in here that I'm going to flash up on the screen for either of you that might want to answer it. This is coming from Loves Dog 1954. As a post-war Austrian-marked LKG high power matching serial number magazine, has the internal extractor. He's asking about the manufacture quality of those pistols.
Okay, manufacturing quality is good. This is the Austrian. This is going to be an FN. It may this could be an aluminum frame. It may not be an aluminum frame. There would be one caveat to this. Thinking about where this pistol has been, there was an initial generation of aluminum frame FNs that used the traditional locking lug cam in the frame. In other words, the normal, and for folks that to picture this, with your slide off of your high power, you have what I call a crossbar just above the trigger subassembly area, and that locking lug cam style that is common in the steel frames. When it was put into the aluminum frames, it was not as robust, and it was replaced with a round pin. The round pin design in the aluminum frames is going to be more robust than the original.
Okay.
That would be the only caveat about the quality question. Would be that, but everything else, replacement internal extractors are available. We have them. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid of them.
And a high power clone question coming in regarding the FEG GKK 45. Ray is saying everybody calls it a high power clone. He doesn't think it is. Off the top of my head, I'm not familiar with that one. I'm familiar with the FEGs that definitely are high power clones.
That's a double action, single action, high power variant.
Okay.
And most of the parts are not common.
Okay.
It is completely driven by your participation, your questions, and your comments, because otherwise, not very talkative.
And we're caught up on the questions now. If we get some more, I'll flash those up on the screen for you. Other news from BHSringsolutions.
Behind me, and I can't even move my chair. In any case, we got a great.
Slav, feel free, my friend.
We got Mark and Slav,
Hold on just a second.
and they have got some exciting news about some of the things that
I'm
they've
hearing voices in my head. It sounds like my voice that I'm hearing in my head.
And I am sorry about that.
What was the question one time? Sorry, Howard. I just was distracted.
I'm sorry?
What was the question?
No, I just said we were caught up on questions, and I asked if there was any other news coming out of BHSringsolutions that you wanted to discuss today.
There are a lot of news from BHSringsolutions that doesn't need to be discussed. I mean, there is some kind of secrecy around them, but Mark has something that he needs to show you, probably. He showed that in the pre-studio time. The double.
We're gonna mention that, but just real quick for Slav and for Howard, if it would be possible, like in your I'm thinking immediately after the live stream, we could possibly put a link to a video that we can. I would say that Slav, if you want to, we could make one of our videos public. We've developed, Slav's developed really a pistol to carbine conversion that's usable specifically for the Browning high power pistols. And this is something that we are exploring the pathway of getting down the road with this. And he doesn't have it with him in the location where he's at today. But if you'd like to, we could put a link.
I could definitely put one in the information section of this live stream that'll be up on YouTube. So if anyone's watching this and you want to see what we're talking about, once the stream ends, I'll get that link into the information system. You can click on it and you'll be able to see this carbine modification for the high power that Mark is talking about.
The particular thing that I want to point out about that is it's worth watching to see how my partner Slav evolved this into such a fast, easy, quick attach and detach of a high power pistol in and out of what is often called a personal defense weapon setup or a pistol to carbine conversion. And when I think of how would John Browning have done such a thing, it would certainly have been as easy as what we've got this design to going. So hey, here's one thing I want to share with you that Slav and I talked about before your broadcast. For any folks who are watching this today who would be first-time BHSringsolutions customers or anybody who watches the replay who would be, If you make your first visit to BH Spring Solutions and get a hold of us and do that order over the phone with us, we have got high power posters. The ones you've got right behind you, Howard.
You see right back there.
We're going to give those away for free to your folks watching. And the way they'll get these is all you got to do is 1-877-423-BHSS or 2477 and call. You'll leave a message. We'll be getting back with you. And as part of mentioning that I saw you guys on HR Funk's live stream or on the replay, and these are, that first poster is a reproduction of an actual poster that hung in inside the FN Erstal factory for the original P35 design. And it's extremely good detail. It's got the designers that would be credited with it, and then the Mark III version, and we added Leon at the bottom of that. That's from an actual promotional poster that we made that from. And then
Mark, if you could hold that just for a second there, that's the lineage I was talking about. When you look at the bottom of the poster there, you can see John Browning, Judenasev, and then Leon right there on the right-hand side.
Yes. Yeah, I mentioned that we kind of did the opposite. Everybody seems to want to hide their designers, and we kind of like to put them forward. It seems to work well, and that is an artistic rendering of a not too dissimilar to a BH Masterpiece high power. And those posters will all that anyone needs to do, and this is for folks who would be new to BH Spring Solutions and find out about us as a result of your live stream. Those posters are free.
Cool. And I like them enough that I've always got them hanging here in my office.
We never thought about how long the shelf life would be. Those posters when we sent them to you, Howard. Okay, I got another thing for you. In the process of us acquiring the Browning parts and leftovers and things they had that they dug out, we ended up with 4 completely new high power pistols. And what we have done with these, and we also had some brand new slides that happened our way, and we are going to have a limited series, and this is limited to 4 handguns, and these will have BH limited series engraved on them in 1 of 4, 2 of 4, or 3 of 4. And what these are is these are dual caliber, so they are 40 Smith & Wesson and 9mm pistols. There's 2 slides, and everything about these is new, and everything about these were built with everything that is the best of the best BH and Browning everything. And one of the things I wanted to show is see if the light can pick this up or not. Those are our heirloom grade grips with inlaid into aluminum platforms. And then there is an expanded magwell, which you can see there. And that expanded magwell, this is an extremely limited product that we have. That expanded magwell is removable. And this is also a BH exclusive. And I will show you. That just slides right off of the frame. So now I can use those same grips without the expanded magwell, or we have our finger grooved BH tactical ergonomic shooting grips, and those also come with this. So again, on or off very, very easily with that expanded magwell, just like that. SFS is on all of these. The BH BH Advanced trigger subassembly, gold-plated version is standard on these. Meprolite night sights on the 40 Smith & Wesson models, and these are such one-of-a-kinds. The 9mm slides are actually in original FN boxes for the slides. I have no idea how far these go back, but the slides absolutely brand new. And I'll show you one of that is a brand new 9mm stainless slide adjustable sights, and everything inside it, everything about these handguns, these four, everything is brand new. And so those are going to be made available on gunsinternational.com and gunbroker.com shortly. They'll be announced in the BH newsletter as well. And this is something that just because we were, doing the things that we were doing and finishing the arrangements we were making, this just kind of happened. So these would definitely are going to be four, unlike anything that we have put together before, and we don't see duplicating, because I think we've exhausted all of the stock that existed to do it with.
That's outstanding. And when you get ready to put those up, are you going to have other photos on the website as well? And I ask that only because in the video here, it's kind of hard to see a lot of the
Yes.
details there. So
Yes.
that's tremendous. Extremely cool. So if you're interested in a limited edition high power, one of, what did you say, four?
Four of them.
Mhm.
Yes.
One of four. So not one of 400 or 4,000. One of four.
That's correct. Yes. and just to show you how easy this conversion is, it is as easy as push out the slide stop. With the SFS system, you don't even lock the slide back. You push out the slide stop and slide the 9mm slide on, put the slide stop back in, grab your 9mm magazine instead of your 40, and we're 9mm. And
Just that quick.
That fast, that easy. Put the right caliber mag in here and go. You have nothing else to modify, nothing else to change. I mean, there's never been an offering in a high power pistol like this by any manufacturer, by anyone. And it just, and this happened just because there happened to be enough of stuff left to do it with. And it's not something that, our opinion is, and I think we can say this without running any risk of this sounding in any way negative about FN or about Browning, but I think a lot of people feel like they may have left a little on the table where the high power design is concerned. Kind of like they could have, been a little more exciting about the design. They could have maybe done, more, whatever, different variants and colors and and this, kind of is one of the things that maybe was left on the table, but we just had this stuff and it was like, well, what are we going to do with this? and that's what came out of it. And these are truly four of a kind.
Yeah, very, very cool. And I saw another question down through here. Let me find this quick. Looks like this is a high power history question. Recently learned that military, I'm trying to remember what MACV stands for, Military Advisory Command, Vietnam Special or Studies and Observation Group, used Browning high power pistols. Any thoughts on why they chose that pistol? I know there were some high powers used in those days. I don't know how routine or regulated it was. Either of you have any thoughts or comments on that?
Slob, you want to go first?
My best bet will be that at that time Browning was having more capacity than the 1911, and if I'm not mistaken, the 9mm will be serving a better job in the jungle. I mean, I have not explored the way 45 behaves if it touches a branch or something in the bushes, but the 9mm doesn't deflect that much, I think. So this will be my bet. Mark, what do you think? But mainly for the capacity, I think they were going to be having more capacity in the gun.
I think the, other than, reliability and accuracy, I think the 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 most strongest thing I think about the high power design is it's easy for new users to perform with well quickly. It was my experience with my own personal high power. I will never forget that day. I had a couple of other handguns, that were much, much lesser handguns. And I went out to this woods and put some targets up on some trees, and I got the biggest kick out of this. I hit everywhere I aimed. And it was not, it didn't take practice. It was like from the first shot, and I just kept going. And that is one thing that I think remains true still today. And I've experienced this off my back patio numerous times with new shooters. And they are able to shoot and perform well quickly, even if they are a brand new, inexperienced shooter.
The pointing qualities of the high power are legendary, and then you combine that with relatively mild recoil, and I think the end result is exactly what you're describing.
Do you have any idea what the high power was competing against in that moment? I mean, except for the 1911.
For the U.S. military, it would have been the 1911 would have been obviously the standard issue, and I suspect that what both of you were saying is right. People that were basically in the studies and observation group had a lot of latitude as far as what they were using, and they managed to get their hands on some high powers, and they had higher capacity. It was easier to shoot, and I know that they were in use in those days, but it's exactly how they got them, I don't have any idea.
we have so many folks who end up at BHSringsolutions.com, and we end up communicating with, who met one of our BH veterans, our name for our customers, who met one of our BH veterans at a shooting range, and ended up, while admiring, their high power that they'd had, done by us or whatever, and they end up shooting it, and they, it's like a 2-magazine addiction most of the time, and they go, I couldn't get over it. I shot that guy so well. Oh no, it felt like an extension of my arm immediately. I felt like, oh my goodness, this is what I've been looking for, and it just happens. And the qualities of this design are such that it has a very addictive nature to it, I think.
I've got a question that came in about high power extractors, and I don't know. CB is asking how the improved high power extractor that you're designing is coming along. Are you still working on that, or do you have a sufficient supply of factory extractors now that you'll be able to use those for a while?
We have a sufficient supply of Browning high power 9mm extractors to last, hopefully until we are able to construct tooling to make the next generation high power extractors. I would say that we're, I don't know, maybe a 2 or a 3 year supply, I guess. We have an optimized design of the what we know of as the Browning Mark III extractor, what would have been Browning's last generation extractor that and the one that we have. We have an optimized design of that one. And we have a completely reconstructed and redesigned extractor that's for future use as well. We don't have anything in production right now going either way.
I'm trying to remember. I was watching one of your videos recently where you were talking about necessary maintenance intervals for the high power, and I think the extractor was one of the parts you talked about. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, we cover all of them in that, and I think that's a BH knowledge piece, or a BH knowledge based piece, probably available at our website, or will be. We did a video about it, and we did a newsletter about it, and it's not uncommon for after springs needing to be replaced is usually the first thing that's needed in a high power, but the first hard part is very commonly a replacement extractor.
Okay, and that's what I was trying to remember. And I know, as an armor, springs, they've got a service life, and a lot of times, if you start to experience problems, all you have to do is replace those springs, and your firearm is right back in service. But eventually, those hard parts do start to go. So, knowing the proper replacement interval, or at least knowing about when to expect to replace those things, is going to be very helpful.
That is the ingredient, and what caused us in the last 6 years to be buying so many high power parts is that we started to recognize what are these parts like when they get marginal, and we started to be able to recognize better defective parts as well, and we started proactively recommending replacement of things that I would say it's doubtful that maybe other shops would necessarily recommend, but proactively, so as to avoid future problems.
Mm-hmm. All right, we are coming up on the 1 hour mark here. We're at about 57 minutes that we've been live. So I typically take the show about an hour. Is there anything that you want to get in here at the end before we start looking at signing off? No?
I just want to say one thing. I want to say hello to all the BH veterans who have joined us, and the BH Vet Recon Unit, which is a special group of our closest friends. What we were able to do as far as inheriting the remaining Browning factory parts, we would have in no way been able to have done without them and without all of you guys. And we thank you very much for that. Thanks for joining in today and following us too. And please do subscribe to HR Funk's YouTube channel. It's worth it.
Well, thank you. Tell you what, I'm going to move you guys out of the room for a moment. Don't go anywhere. Just hang around here, but I'm going to wrap up the show, and I'll be back with you in just a moment.
Thank you, Howard.
Absolutely. Thanks you both for joining. So there you go, everyone. That was Mark and Slav from BHSringsolutions joining us today. I'm just blown away by the amount of information that they're able to convey about the P35 platform and the services that they're able to provide. And I've got one of the handguns that they worked over for me. In fact, it's the one that I used for the community post yesterday to announce the live stream today. So if you saw that photograph, that's one of their handguns, and just fabulous pistol. They can do everything from replacing springs and just enhancing the reliability of your pistol, all the way up to full blown custom work. So it's just a fabulous company. Thanks again to Mark and Slav, and thanks to all of you for joining. It is always extremely fun, extremely gratifying to be able to put out these live streams and have all the participation from all of you, all of the questions, all of the comments. And I was trying to follow those throughout the course of the show. And of course, a lot of them, during the course of a conversation, I couldn't really come back over here and get those out. But specifically, when I got a question that needed to be directed to Mark or Slav, I tried to get that out to them. So thank you very much for your participation. To my channel members, thank you as well. A special thanks always goes out to you for your contribution every month. I appreciate it greatly. We've got the Saturday morning premiere video tomorrow. I hope a lot of you can make it back for that. I hope all of you can make it back for that, actually. But that's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to do a live stream again one of these days. I promise we're going to be doing one pretty soon that's going to be just me and you, and me taking your questions and comments and all that. So thanks for now. All of you have a great rest of your Friday. Have a tremendous weekend. And until the next time, everyone, good shooting and bye-bye for now.